Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And thank you for joining me today. I think for July, we're going to take a look at some organic or botanical tangles. So for this week, I've chosen squid. Um, Squid builds off of the Hollibaugh technique that we learned last week. So I think it's the perfect choice to dive into the organic types of tangles. And we're going to pair that with a frame made up of fragments. So for this project, you will need just a white sheet of paper or an original tile. I have a black pen, a number 2 pencil, and a tortillon, or if you don't have a tortillon, you could use a Q-tip or a cotton swab. So just your basic supplies for this project. If you want to get fancy and use color, of course, you can do that. All right, let's get started. So to set this one up, we're going to do something a little different. We are going to have our frame kind of as almost a square within a square here. So you want to take your pencil and we're just roughly going to kind of mark the center of each side just very lightly. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to measure. And it's just all approximating here. And I apologize if my voice is a little scratchy today. My allergies, something this year is just really bothering me. My allergies and my asthma. So I hope you all are not dealing with that. But please forgive me if I sound a little off today. All right, we can set our pencil aside and we are going to draw our frame in this case, which is sort of a grid. Reticula is kind of the name that we use for grids, and we draw reticula in ink. So you'll need your black pen, and we are just going to go from those marks we made all the way around. And you don't need a ruler. You're just going to go from one straight over to the other. And we just do this in ink. Just like that. And then what I like to do is I like to kind of make 4 dots on the inside, and I do this with my pen. And these are just kind of going to be like a guide for us to make our next set of lines. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're making squares within a square, and for width, it's roughly a little bit wider than my actual pen shape here. You can see just just slightly wider. Then we're going to connect those all the way around. Like that. And then our next step is to finish off these squares here. So I'm going to go and finish these off. So we end up with a square in each corner. So I'm actually dragging out the lines that we just made so that I have a square. Like that. And then I'm going to divide I'm working in each rectangle area now. And I'm just going to cut that in half. And then I'm going to cut each of those in half. And again, you do not need to measure. They don't have to be exactly identical. That's the beauty of Zentangle. There's no mistakes here. And once you have that in, we are going to start filling them in with a fragment. This one doesn't really have a number in the resources that I looked at. If you know a number for it, please let me know. But we're just gonna start by pick any corner and make a curved line. And then I'm just gonna aura that a couple of times. And then I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm rotating my tile so I can start from the other one and go in the opposite direction. So I'm kind of making like an arch here. I'm going to rotate my tile again so it's easier to work with. And from the previous one, I'm going to arch up that way and then fill these in. And I'm kind of matching these as we go along. So I'm just alternating back and forth. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And we just keep working back and forth. And as you can see, we're getting these lovely arches in here. Fragments have many variations, and you can easily make up your own. And they're great for those small spaces. We're at our last corner here. Oops, that's my puppy. He's a little bit grouchy this morning because of all the rain. All right, we made our way all the way around, and we have these lovely arches. And if you're working larger, just make sure if you're doing a pattern like this one, a tangle like this one, or a fragment, you want to have an even number of spaces. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going all the way around. You need the even spaces so that it comes out right in the end. Okay. So you can either, at this point, you can choose to leave it like this, or you can choose to add a little bit more to these fragments. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some lines. And you don't really need to count, but you can if you'd like to. And I'm going to go back and catch this one here, just so we have that filled in. So I'm just going that extra step and adding these lines radiating from this intersection here. You might choose to add something different. Now, I do like to add this extra step. And fragments, I feel like you're definitely meant to experiment with them and to play around with them and to kind of make them your own for sure. And when I'm doing this, I tend to kind of, in case you're wondering, I tend to kind of bisect that space and then put in the other lines as needed. So I'm just kind of drawing a line to cut that in half and then adding more. You can add as many or as few as you like. And depending on how large each reticula is, you might have to add more lines or less. All right, we made it all the way around. And at this point, you can take a look and see if there are any spaces that maybe need an additional line. You can go back in and add that. Sometimes we do that like with paradox too. If you see a space that's a little bit too wide, like this one's a little bit wide, so I could go back in and just add to that. Okay. All right, now that we've got our frame, so we've got squares within a square and within a square. We're going to put our organic tangle in here. We're going to use Squid. And Squid starts off a lot like Bronx Cheer, which I think we'll have to do that one in the future. So we're going to start off with just an orb. Draw an orb, a little orb. But you're going to go over it a couple of times, make it really dark. And then you're going to build off of that with more orbs, making them really dark. I'm working kind of in the center here, as much in the center as I possibly can be without measuring. It's just a guesstimate. So I'm just adding a cluster of these kind of in a circle, as much in a circle as I can get. Kind of reminds me of maybe like a raspberry. Once I have a nice cluster of these, you could go a little larger if you'd like. But I'm happy with this cluster that I have here. And I'm going to go back in and fill in if there's any spaces. I'm going to fill that in because I want that dark. I want that to really come off the page with the dark little orbs there. Now I'm going to add almost like these little flame-like, they're kind of like tentacles. If you think of an actual squid, they have these arms coming out. And that's kind of what we're adding here. And it's almost like kind of like an S shape. And I'm just going to work in a few. I'm just doing my corners first. So if you want to start from, I like to start from the inside and go out, but you could start from the outside and come in like that. Whatever works best for you. Um, like that. Then I'm going to add a few more in between here, and then I'm going to go the opposite way here. And this is where it gets interesting, and we apply the Hollibaugh method here. We are going to put some in underneath so we have this kind of 3D look here, like they're some are on top and some are underneath. And it's just a matter of taking your time and filling them in. So with Hollibaugh, we get that layered effect. So we're going to start, and when we come to a previous one, we're going to lift up our pen, go over to the other side, and continue. We're going to come back, lift up our pen, go over to the other side, and just continue like that. And that's how we get our layered looks. The Hollibaugh method is useful for many, many different tangles. So you just keep adding in those until you're happy with how many you have. And I think I'm about happy here. Maybe I need one more here. Yeah, let's put one in here. Like that. And I actually like this as it is like that. It has this wonderful, it reminds me of a flower actually. But there's one more step, and so I'm going to demonstrate that. And that is adding some more orbs and working your way around here. So we're going to add little orbs here, but I'm not making them as dark as I did originally. I'm just going around once, maybe twice if I need to. I'm just tucking them in wherever I feel like an orb would be needed. It helps to rotate so that you can get a better picture of what you're doing. So I'm just adding here and there. Maybe I'll add one up here. Sometimes like this one is just kind of a half orb. We're almost all the way around. We are all the way around, actually. That one quick. All right, and so just kind of take a look at what you have and see if you want to add an orb here or there. And you can see the center is still much darker and denser than these orbs that we put around there. I think I need to add some in here and just kind of take a look through and see how that looks. And once you're happy with adding your little orbs, or they kind of look like tipple, you can take your pencil, and this is where the magic really happens. And we're going to start in the center and hold your pen kind of on the side, and I'm just going to put a dark layer of graphite around that center cluster. So whereas usually I say to start lighter and then add more, for this particular one, you want it really dark. You want a heavy layer of graphite right from the start. And you go right around like that. And then I also like to add some, just like we do with Hollibaugh, like these parts that are going under. I like to add a little bit of graphite to one side. You wouldn't have to, but I just like to add that extra touch. I just do it to one side. And then I'm also going to add some graphite along the outside of this tangle, and then we'll blend that out to the edge. So here I'm adding it a little lighter, not as dark as is in the center. Everything about Squid is about making the center as dark as you can go. And I think it would be awesome if you're working with color to use a different color like red or something and really make that pop off the page. All right, so I've made that all the way around. And then I do also like to add a little graphite. I like to make these centers really dark as well to kind of match what we did here. So I'm gonna add that very heavily. I'm pressing quite a lot. That. And then you could also add just a little bit. I'm doing this much lighter around the edges of these rays. Oops, I'm going off the screen there. Sorry. All right. So you can always go back and add more graphite if you'd like to later. Not a problem. Sometimes I even add it a couple days later. It just depends. All right. You'll need your tortillon or a cotton swab. And we're going to start from the center and work out. So we're just blending this a little bit. I'm using circular motions here for this area. I'm just blending it out a little bit so that our center cluster really stands out. And then our next step is if you added some shading on these areas, here is to blend that a little bit. I do love shading. Shading's probably my favorite part. And then we're going to go along the outside here. I'm just kind of blending these areas. So it's darker around the inked area of this tangle and lighter towards the frame. And that way these unshaded areas really pop off the page. Don't forget to, once in a while, take a moment to just take a deep breath and to relax your hand. You want to be comfortable doing this, focused but comfortable. So it's okay to take a little breather once in a while. There we go. And then I'm going to actually go around these edges. All right, and then all we have left are these centers, which we want to keep pretty dark. So I'm not dragging those all the way out. I'm just blending, but pretty much in that limited area where the graphite is. And that's just a back and forth motion. All right, I think we've made it all the way around. Oh, that looks cool. I love it. You could add shading on the outside if you'd like, but I like it the way it is. I love that organic center there with that type of a frame. And you can experiment with reticula and fragments. You don't have to use this fragment, for example, you could try a different one. But if you do something like this with the arches, you want to make sure you've got an even number of I want to call them squares, and these are square shaped reticula. Now we need to put our chop on there somewhere, our initials. So I am probably going to work it into this organic part here, just really small. I'm putting my initials in, working it into the actual tangle. And then I'm going to flip it over. And I always do like to, I'll put my name on there. And we've got, this is our weekly tangle, our tangle of the week. Is this probably, I think this is number 28. And the date, July 15. Wow. Okay. Wow. Summer's like half over. Um, and let's see, we've got squid, right? And we also took a look at, I'm just going to write down that we did a reticula plus fragment. So we took a look at reticula and filling it in with fragment, but our main tangle today was squid. It's a wonderful organic tangle. And that was just with our very basic supplies of a white tile, a black pen, a pencil, and a tortillon. And with just those few simple supplies, you can make something awesome and beautiful. And I hope it just brightens your day like it brightens my day and brings a little bit of calm. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. And for those of you who have subscribed, you guys are awesome. You all are just amazing and doing a wonderful job. All right. Have a great day. Have a great week. And I'll see you next time. And remember, I love you guys. Take care. Bye.